Okay. So, good morning, everybody. We are going to be continuing with the lesson that we learned last time. And this is what we had done. So, our lesson is basically called lettering, which is, like I explained in the previous class, is very different from your calligraphy. And with this lettering, you absolutely use your imagination, you play around, you can even convert, so a lot of people in lettering use a lot of, say, pencil. Also, you can add, so you can use your imagination. This is like the wood thing. These are little beads, simple lines, decorative things. So like this, these two are somewhat of the same family, but here I've added dots. This has got a little leaf and a flower in the end. So it's basically using your imagination, your creativity, and making a whole series of letters, alphabets. And so the previous time when we had done this, I had asked all of you, and I'll request again, just to get your lettering game up, would be to um, at least make 5, 6 alphabets of the same design. So choose the ones that we had discussed and made last time, like we had discussed and made till Z. Okay, A, B, C, and Z. So you can take one of them, two of them, three of them, just work around and use them in your alphabets with the similar design, so that you become a little comfortable with working with it. Now, how do you use these lettering techniques that you've learned? You can use them. So if you're a teacher, you can use these graphic letters to write the heading. If you're a student, you can make file submissions and even file decorations, or even when you put up posters in the college or the school, you can use these kind of interesting lettering to make some very, very interesting and creative posters and stuff in your school. So both ways you can use it. There are some fonts that are very easily available on the computer, but so you can use that shortcut is there. But you can always use these creatively, which probably are not there on the computer, or the font on the computer. You can, the imagination is not there on the computer. Okay, so you can really, really work around adding your own effect to the existing letters. Okay, now this is one where we studied the letters. Now, how do we use it? How do we kind of compose the whole thing? So that is what we are going to be understanding, on how to write um, very, very creatively a quote, a very nice quote. So, like, see, for example, I have this. We're going to be making this itself. How do you plan something like this? I might have a few more. Let me see if I can find the others that I had done for other students. I can find it. Else, yeah. So this is one. Then I had done this. In this, we've not used too many fonts. It's just 4 fonts and decorated with flower doodles. Then here I had left. So if you can make out, it's all entwined in the flowers and the design. So this is a little complicated. What we are going to learn is making a quote that is simple and easy, and how you can use your details and your little doodle effect to really create something pretty. Okay. So what we are going to do is continue with so these are all small little ways of arranging your letters or your words. Okay. So, for example, like, see, you're going to be writing this: be the reason that someone smiles today. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Okay. So, we have basically 7 letters, big and small, that we have to put together to form a quote. Those letters can be, so in this, for example, you have to choose 1 or 2 words that are going to stand out. So, for example, this is the big word. Okay. And then you have some that are in curving. This is in small cursive letters. These are capital. So, in the same way, you have to kind of understand how you're going to be working in placing all the letters. So, in our paper, we will form a frame. Okay, so our entire quote is going to come somewhere in this. Okay, we will be writing, say, there are 3 letters, 3 words that we're going to be putting on top. So you have one word that is going to be the smallest word that is going to be in a circle. Okay, then you have let's make it straight line. Okay, because we're going to be giving a curve here. So we give a straight line, the first. So this is basically blocking your space so that you know that your one word has to come between this. Okay, and you know that the other word has to come within this. So this is a bigger word. Okay, so supposing this is a bigger word, we'll shift this slot a little off center. The circle will go a little off center. Okay, so this, like reason, be the reason. The is going to come in this little circle. Reason is a bigger word, so it'll take a longer rectangle. And then B is again 2 letters. Okay, so that's a smaller one. So we are going to be having be the reason. Okay, so we put blocks and we know our words are going to be centered here. That someone, be the reason, that someone will be similar. So it'll be one font throughout. So, and we're going to give it a curve. So we know that our next 2 words are going to be in a curve. Okay. That is going to be within this. Someone is going to be within this. Or maybe even a little closer. So just erase the extra lines. Get this much gap between 2 words. Be the reason that someone, and then we have smiles. Now smile is going to be nice and decorative and pretty. Okay, so we're going to be making, so our smile, sorry, we will not make it big right now. Our smile is going to be in this. Again, we need to block it. Our word is going to be in this, right? So we're going to be our first lesson in the first part is going to be just understanding how we're going to be laying it out, because when you get a quote, how do you place it properly? That is very important, so that you know. Otherwise, if you don't place these blocks, that letter, that word might just become a little too big and it'll just go out. Okay, or it might not fit in, or it might become too wide and then you won't have space for anything else. So this kind of puts it in its rightful places, and then you can just kind of work around it. Okay. Now the last word, we put it in the center, right in the center. And we are going to be making ribbons. So basically, just make one rectangle, and so this should be in line. This should be in line. These lines are supposed to be continuous. So make sure that they're not up and down. They should be in sync with each other. So this is our basic layout. Okay. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. These are the 7 words that we are going to be fitting into. And then whatever blank space is left between these details and words, that we're going to be filling up with pretty doodles, flowers, lines, dots, stars. That's, you can just use your imagination. Okay. Now, whenever, like I taught you all over here, whenever you're writing words, what is the first thing that you have to do is make the skeleton. Always, whether it is P, always a simple skeleton, so that we know exactly whether how big the words are going to be, whether we're going to be using a combination of capitals and small letters, whether it's going to be cursive. That is what we are going to be putting here. Okay. So our B is going to be capital letters. Okay. So let's first, and again, I would advise you to not use a very dark pencil because we're going to be erasing out everything else. If it's too dark, it'll leave marks on your paper. So capital letter of B and E. I'll erase out. I'll take a little stronger eraser. So B. Okay. Then the next word is the. And right. The reason. We'll give it a little gap here. It's too close to the circle. This is the circle. Give it a little gap. You can keep shifting here and there just to accommodate all the words as you start writing them. Now I'm going to make slightly narrow letters. Not very, now here again, because you have to fit it in this much of a rectangle, make sure if you start off with making very, very fat letters, then they might not fit, okay? So make a few letters and then realize if you have space, you can always fatten it later, but try not to make some very wide formed letters, otherwise they will not fit into this. So I'm just going to make it slightly more geometrical, okay? If I hadn't made it so narrow, it would not have fit into this little rectangle. Okay, be the reason. So we've got the skeleton for the first three letters. Then we come to our, now here, the top line, I want to draw as in I will sketch it out. The bottom line also I will sketch it out like this. So what happens is you need to give a little space. So we're just going to be making two lines within which we will be writing our. So this will be drawn as a line, okay? Not, so there has to be a gap between that line and the word that we are writing. So two lines within which we will be writing the word. There you go. So there's a gap between the top and the bottom line. Okay. Now we start writing the word. So here will be that, be the reason that. So again, capital letters and a skeleton form, as in we're not giving any outlines, just the basic structure, that. And then we erase this line so it doesn't confuse us. This is just to guide you, huh? So keep erasing the lines so that you're clear. Otherwise, when you start finalizing it with a sketch pen or a pen, you might just draw that line. So that was just to guide you. That and someone. So the next letter, next word is someone. Be very deliberate, be slow, have your reference of the alphabets that probably you want as to make, so that it helps you out when you're finalizing the structure. So I'm just going to erase all the extra lines that I did here. Okay. Be the reason that someone, and then we write nice decorative font here. Okay. It's going to be in the same way that we write a calligraphy, running script with a little bit more, little of swirls and things like that. Okay. So you can combine the beauty of calligraphy and the swirls and the dips of calligraphy with your lettering words. It just makes it more fun. So the S. So this whole thing is going to be smiles. You can make it nice and big. Just going to make a little swirl here. It goes back like this. Erase this part. Smiles. And then I'm going to draw a line here between which we will write the running. So this is your capital word, capital letter, and the rest is going to be small letters. So we can see in this one line, in calligraphy also, you can make letters go up and down. Okay. So in the same way, I've just got just a few swirls that go down. Then similar to what was in the beginning, I've given a little twirl here. And then we have the last word, which will again be capitals. Okay. So again, this is going to be a box, as in This will be a rectangle within which that letter will be there. Okay. So again, you'll have another rectangle within this rectangle, which will have your word. You can't have the word touching the outline. The outline has to be distinct. So we'll just make another rectangle within which we will write our word. Okay. Be the reason that someone smiles today. I really like this quote. Such a positive, happy quote. Okay. So we've got all our um, letters, words down. We know that this is going to be our format. This is how it's going to be placed. Um, Now, each word that we're going to be working on will be very, very different from each other. These two will be similar. These two will be similar. This will be different. This will be absolutely different, and this will be. So we're going to be using different fonts, decorative fonts here. Okay. Now that we know that this is going to be our layout. So I want to make this a little bit more decorative. So we are going to change the alphabet. Okay. So I'm going to give a double line. So now we're going to be working on each word one by one. Okay. So it's going to be B, and then this one will be a little big with the small one here. Okay. And add a little serif. This. So I have realized when I was drawing it that it's a little shifted this side. So I'll just correct it in case that's what you've also done, seeing my work. So I'm just going to shift it a little this side. Like there's a gap here. It was too close to the edge. So this is a simple the. Okay, now we're going to give it some body. Because we're going to be coloring this entire thing, the circle black, the alphabet will come out in relief. So you just need to give it a simple square, easy to, because you're going to be leaving that out as white. So we are not going to be making it too complicated. Very, very simple box like. Okay. Now we come to this. So because it's going to be a continuation of this, we are going to be using something similar, some little swirl here as well. So double the line. So this swirl will come at the bottom. Okay. We're keeping it narrow. So I've changed my mind and I'll make it not too boxy. I had made it more rectangular in shapes. I'll make it. Now, think I'll go for a slightly more rounder shape of the S. And remember, if you're making this part of the word alphabet thick, that it stands that all of your alphabets will be thick on this side, on the left hand side. Okay. And this line and helps it stay one size. Else, while your one alphabet or two alphabets words will be bigger and small. So we don't want that. We want it. So because see the E, it's near about the same thing. We're going to be making this E. This E is pretty narrow. And that's the maximum we can do it. So we are going to be, because it has to be part of the same thing, we're going to be making this B also, this E, little narrow. It has to match. Because these are two of the same fonts, same font, two words, okay? So we have our, this finalized, we come to this. Now, like I said, this is going to be a line. So we don't need to, I'm just making it slightly more neater and darker. We'll be doing it with a sketch pen later. Okay. Now here, we will be using the same thing as in thick and thin. Okay. I am thinking, just because it might be too similar, what I can do is, especially in the letters like the R and B, I can just slightly thicken this side. I don't want it too similar because these are two different alphabets, two different fonts, styles. Okay. So I've just made, and we can do even a little bit here. Here. So it will become slightly similar, different to this. And now let's give this one a body. I like the freedom that lettering gives me, as in there are not too many rules to follow. And like I'm a little stickler, there should be similar in width and this and that. But if you're doing it for fun, it really, because this kind of artwork or this kind of writing words, there are no rules as such. So if you feel, you can make them all different from each other, have mild differences everywhere so that they are not, and this is thin, this can be slightly thick. It really doesn't matter. So don't take too much of thought into it. Just have fun. And take your time. If you feel you want to take the help of scale, you can do that, or a ruler. I don't much subscribe to it. But if you feel your hands a little too wobbly or you're not getting very, very crisp lines, you can take the help of a ruler or a scale to make your lines a little more crisp. I'm just saying, like, for example, this O should be similar. If it's the same font being, same alphabet being used, like E should be similar here in terms of width. That is a few of the things that you should make sure that you can make. Otherwise, even if you don't, you can, just to make it more fun, you can even make it larger, just to have kind of a wobbly look. But totally up to you. But like to follow this little simple rule that if it's part of the same word, then the width and all, there shouldn't be too much of a gap difference. So I'll try and make it the same. The reason that someone, now we come to the smile. Here again, this is a simple rule in calligraphy as well as your lettering, that we're going to be doing the same thing here, as in the thicker part, one side. Make sure that if it's the right part is thin, then the thicker part is on the left-hand side. So that is the same thing we're going to be applying here. I'm just going to make this a little more flowy. The S. Just a little decorative element. Okay. So now if I have given this here, all the lower part, at least the M and I, will have that little curve. So the left-hand side of the alphabet will be thick. This part will be thin. Okay. This part will be thick. And this part of the S, like over here, be slow. I'm doing it fast because I tend to work fast. Take your time, pause the video. If you're still stuck somewhere and I'm moving very fast for you, pause the video and go back to where you are. Do it slowly so that you're not lagging behind. You kind of finish it and take your time. There is no point in rushing. All these things are supposed to be done very, very deliberately, okay? So I'm going to be making a heart here, slightly bigger heart. Okay. So there is a little point that I'm going to be adding here. See, from here in the center of the word, I'm going to be adding a little twirl like this, just as a design element. So what I want you to do is draw a line in the center so that you know exactly, oh, it shouldn't be going up and down. It should be in the same. So it's like a little triangle shape jutting out like this. In M, it's just going to be in one place, not here and here. Right? The L will also have. The E will also have. And so will the S. Okay? So that's how it's going to be. I'll just erase the lines, the extra lines that are there, just to make the letters a little more crisp. We'll be adding a few dots also on this. We'll come to that a little later. Let's just finish finalizing it first. Okay, so that's how it is. Anywhere that it is, the lines have gone, just draw them again. Yeah. So we've got this done. We are going to be making the ribbon of today first, and then fit in the word here. Okay. Now you have to understand the ribbon. This is like generally when you see the ribbons in any alphabet or any design element, even when you make posters, it has this little cutout here on the end, right? Make sure that the same width, very, very important. It should not be that one is thick and one is thin. Okay. So you draw these lines. Here and here also, it should be equal. Erase the extra lines. The outline is this. Now, how does it fold? So once you've made this little triangle on both sides, cut out triangle, and you finalize it, now we have to show the thing folded, okay? So draw a triangle, join this point to this point, and join this point to this point. And that's it. It's folded over, okay? Next, we're going to write today. So here the today will be more solid, like the, okay? As in not thick and thin. So we will and we'll add a little shadow here also. Because we haven't added shadow anywhere else. So in this, we can add the shadow that we've learned in our previous class. Right. So we've made it within this inner rectangle, which is supposed to be rubbed out. It's not part of the design. Just to help you get it all in one shape. Okay, so we've got the layout done. What we're going to do is add some more design elements, and then we take a little break. So, and then come back and finalize it. Okay, so this is done. This one will have some lines. In the thicker part, okay? Just lines as a design. Try and make them now itself so that once you finalize, because once we come back after a break, we will finalize it into with a pen. So, okay, so we're not going to be using the pencil anymore after this. So try and finish off all the
Mariam,
little design.
the
Yeah.
page, yeah, can you just adjust the top of the
Oh,
page?
yeah. Oh, I can't see it.
Yeah,
Okay. Sorry. Right. I didn't pay attention.
problem.
So sorry. So we've added lines here just to show you, and we are continuing with adding lines on the broader part of the word, the alphabet. I didn't have a look at the camera. It's work hazard. I get so involved in just getting into the artwork that sometimes I forget I'm teaching and I'm on camera, and maybe the camera is shifted angle. So, anyways, as long as it's come back in focus. Right? So this is what we are going to be. So this is going to be in lines, and this part is going to be colored solid. Okay? So when we come back with the sketch pen, this will remain as it is. It'll be solid. We will color it black. Okay? When we come back, this will be colored black. Here we're going to add some more design element. So we're going to be adding about 4 or 5 dots. And why dots? Because then they will come in relief. We're going to leave the dots as white and color the rest in black. So 1, the center part of your alphabet. Okay. 3, 4, and 5. That should suffice. Then here, I think we just about 3 will work. So I'm just going to add some 3 dots with my pencil, and when we color, we're going to leave it white. So again, I will request you all to be very careful when you're going to be filling in the next, when we meet after the break. It's going to be slightly more detailed and done with a lot of patience. Now here we were 5, so we won't go beyond 5 in the larger part of it. So again, we take the center part of your L. There you go. 3 in the smaller ones. And here, 5. Okay. So that's what we are going to be leaving blank. Next, we're going to come to our today. Now, today will remain as it is, but we will be using an alphabet that will have thicker outlines. I'll just show you. We're going to be using this kind of a design. Okay. So this design, you really don't need to go into a lot of details here. We will just be using a thick sketch pen and leaving the white part in the center. Okay. So that itself is a design in itself. Next, we're going to be adding a little design on the ribbon. Here we will add some lines because it's in the shadow. And then in this part, we will add some lines of different length. Okay. Once that is done, we have few blank spaces here. Like, for example, this one is smiles. We might add a couple of flowers if we like. Here, between that and someone, we'll add a little circle. This will be the outline. What I'm going to do is, once this goes completely black, a lot of elements are added when you've completed the whole black and white design, because then you realize once you've completed which is dark and which is light, it needs a little bit more, say, more detailing or a little more dots and dashes, so but from here I'm going to add some curves. Because the space is here, and here there is less space. Okay, so we're just going to add maybe a smaller, something that looks a little similar to the one on that side but a little narrower. Okay, so we've got this. We can have a few lines just to fill up that empty space on either side of the ribbon. Not too much. It should not look cluttered. So a lot of times, like I said, we wait till we finished our coloring part of it. Then I will know exactly where to put my stars and where to put some little flowers. Maybe I can add a flower here and a couple of flowers here, and maybe some leaves. We'll figure it out once we finish this. So this is it for our first session. We will meet again after the break.